WVTT Information Overload. I'm Jeff Angelonis. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating a pilot's claim that he saw a small unmanned aircraft at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. The Alitalia pilot told air traffic controllers he saw the unmanned aircraft as he approached the runway at Kennedy around 1:15 Monday afternoon. The pilot said the aircraft was about 4 to 5 miles southeast of the airport and was flying at an altitude of around 1,500 feet. The pilot can be heard reporting the aircraft on radio calls on a website that posts air traffic communications, and the FAA says the pilot didn't take evasive action and the plane landed safely. Congress is back at work looking for ways to keep the government going after forced spending cuts went into effect Friday. House Speaker John Boehner says the House will pass a bill this week to keep the government open through the end of the fiscal year. Boehner also says lawmakers need to find a way to cut federal spending.
Spending is the problem here in Washington, and our goal is to cut spending, not to shut the government down. The President agreed last week that should be our goal, and I'm hopeful that this continuing resolution will find easy passage both in the House and the Senate.
Boehner says spending is, quote, the biggest threat to the future of our country. Cardinals on the loose, but not the kind you'll find at your bird feeder. The Vatican conclave is almost in session, but they still need 5 more cardinals. They're on their way to Rome tonight. Catholic cardinals met for a second day at the Vatican. They're preparing to select a new pope. 110 out of the 115 voting cardinals are already at St. Peter's. A date has not been set for the conclave to select a successor to Pope Benedict XVI. The Sistine Chapel and, of course, Michelangelo's famous painting closed to the public earlier today in preparation for the conclave. And John Kerry just wrapped up his first international trip as the new Secretary of State for the U.S. Kerry didn't say the United States would never arm the rebels fighting President Bashar al-Assad's government, but says President Obama thinks the current strategy of letting other countries arm the rebels is currently the right choice. Kerry also spoke about the United States' relationship with North Korea.
The president has always indicated a preparedness to work through the diplomatic process and to try to have a resolution also to this issue on a peaceful basis. That's his preference. But North Korea keeps choosing to make belligerent and reckless moves that threaten the region, their neighbors, and now directly the United States of America. So it's very easy for Kim Jong-un to prove his good intent here also. Just don't fire the next missile. Don't have the next test. Say you're ready to talk and invite those talks, and people would be prepared to engage in that conversation, I am convinced.
And it's not just North Korea that the United States is worried about when it comes to nuclear weapons.
Last question I'd have, in your professional opinion, of the current diplomatic and economic efforts to stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons capability, are they working?
No, sir.
Good.
Meanwhile, newly released surveillance video may shed some light on what led to the shooting of a U.S. soldier in South Korea. A government-affiliated South Korean news agency says the soldier was shot in the shoulder after refusing to stop for South Korean police. Officers had responded to reports of American soldiers threatening people with an air rifle. But they say when they showed up, a 23-year-old U.S. Army sergeant and his wife fled the scene, hitting cars and bystanders along the way. South Korean police chased and fired shots at the vehicle, hitting and injuring the U.S. soldier. The U.S. Criminal Investigation Command is helping the Korean National Police with the investigation. Well, you've probably heard the slogan, there's an app for that. Well, there are now a lot of apps, and sales of those mobile phone games and programs are expected to hit $25 billion this year, according to the finding of the research group Gartner Incorporated. Their analysts say mobile phone app revenue will climb 62% worldwide this year over 2012. Another industry researcher, IDC, predicts global smartphone sales will pass feature phone sales for the first time this year. Apple and Google now have more than 700,000 apps in their online stores. A spectacular work of art lights up San Francisco's Bay Bridge for the next 2 years. It begins tonight. 25,000 white LED lights cover over 1.8 miles of the western span of the bridge. The Bay Lights display is being billed as the world's largest LED light sculpture. Artist Leo Villarreal controls the display through his personal computer. He flips the switch tonight.
I just wanted to find a way to have the Bay Bridge shine in the region's consciousness one more time.
The lights will transform into moving sculpture from dusk to 2 a.m. for the next 2 years, never repeating the same pattern. Get that. The $8 million project is funded by private donations from some big names in technology, including Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer. It seems the United Nations, that is, may have a slight drinking problem. The UN ambassador for management and reform at the UN told his UN colleagues today that they need to stop drinking so much during delicate budget negotiations. In the past, there's always been a tradition of using a little alcohol to improve negotiations. But according to one diplomat, the alcohol consumption isn't always a little. According to one diplomat, another became sick from drinking too much booze. And South Africa is running out of rape kits at their police stations because of high demand. South Africa's police committee condemns it, saying, quote, "This is totally unacceptable." Rape kits are DNA kits used to collect forensic evidence from rape victims. Local media outlets are reporting that some police stations are using expired kits because of the shortage. The committee says, quote, "The high incidence of rape around the country makes the situation untenable, and without rape kits, we lose crucial evidence necessary to successful prosecution of rapists." And that's WVTT Information Overload. I'm Jeff Androlonis. Alexa,